Welcome to this webinar, which is the third session in the Opening the Inner Eye series, which we are doing as part of our webinar series. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Before we start the discussion, and I will invite Gayatri shortly to lead the session, I will just take a couple of minutes to announce a few programs that we have coming up. Now, some of you would know that Tracy and Cindy are doing a program on somatic coaching and personal mastery. This is a level 2 program, so this will also certify you for the PCC certification. So anybody who's looking to level up their skills and deepen their coaching practice must definitely check this program out. And now a special mention here is that Ram is doing an inaugural session as part of ICF Mumbai's 10th anniversary celebration. He is doing an inaugural session. This will also include a sensory awareness demonstration, which will be led by Ram Ramanathan, who is the co-founder of Kocharya. If I will be pasting the link in the chat box shortly, and you can check it out. Whoever would like to attend this must definitely check this out for sure. There is an advanced mentor coach training program, which will train you to become a mentor coach. This is being led by Cindy Muthukarapan. This starts on 22nd April. Again, all the links I will be pasting in the chat box shortly. With that, I will invite Gayatri to take over. Gayatri, as some of you would know, is a Kocharya alumni. She's also a leadership and a PCC coach, and she is leading this series, the Opening the Inner Eye series, where we talk to people who are working in the social sector and how people in the coaching world can take lessons from them. Gayatri, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, by the way, Aparna Ponnappa is also a Kocharya alumni, just for information. And this session is called Courage in Action because we have two very courageous people, So in a world which is often limited by fear and social constraints, you should do this, you should not do this, you should live like this, you should, behave like this. We have two inspiring people, Aparna Ponnappa and Father Teyol, who have had a lot of personal struggles and, have questioned themselves. But those questions have led them to make a powerful impact on the society. Okay. So how to transform personal challenges into opportunities, how to break social barriers and your own taboos, like, for example, if I go somewhere and I have some personal taboos, how do I handle them? And the third part which we want to focus on is how to convert these individual in experiences into a collective experiences. A lot of us have got our inner eyes opened and gone through transformative experiences. Of course, it helps that we transform, but have we taken it a step further to do a social transformation? So let me introduce my amazing panelist. I will, many of you may know Aparna, but Father Teyol works in Bijapur very quietly but very effectively. And he is the director for what is called as the Center for Non-Formal Education. And what are his competencies? He builds communities, he does counseling, he does social analysis, he does project management. And to me, that looks like a CEO. And a CEO of multiple business units. So a lot to learn from him. And he is right now in, like I said, in Bijapur. He was born and brought up in Udupi and joined the Jesuit order, much to the chagrin of his family. It's not like they were very happy with it, but he questioned himself and he has worked with really marginalized parts of the society. So thank you for your work and thank you for your time today. Aparna Ponnappa is someone who does leadership solutions right from, and when she does leadership solutions, it's not just for the CEO, it's even for a GAT. a person who just comes. So right from campus to the glass ceiling, she does all that. She is a XLRI graduate, and so am I. And we have a tag saying for the greater good, and we all of us follow it when we do greater good for ourselves. But she has done it for a few other people as well. And Aparna has a company called Red Network, and I'll put the URL of those people. She has done a lot of work in social sector. She was the co-founder for a organization called Beautiful Bengaluru, which has now become Beautiful Bharat. And let me share a small story of her courage. So as part of this Beautiful Bengaluru, we were in Lal Bagh, okay, trying to keep it clean, and we had been given permission by the police to charge 100 rupees fine. We were charging, and most people were like, ashamed in giving, but there was a Gunda-like guy, and he said, I won't give. She went, pursued him, and got the 100 rupees from him. Not because the 100 rupees matter, but is the principle of the thing. And I still remember that, and that I think is correct. Apart from this founding of this Beautiful Bangalore, she is also a co-founder for what is called as Excel for W, which is the XLRI organization for women. So welcome to both of you. And I just start with Father Teyol, asking him to tell us anything more that you would like to share with us. Of course, I have lots of questions. Anything else that we should know about you?
Gayatri, thank you for the introduction. I'm a Jesuit priest. They said I belong to an organization called Society of Jesus, and a Catholic priest who's been working in Bijapur, a social sector. Many people know the Jesuits for their educational enterprise, specifically running colleges, universities, schools, educating the young minds, and then creating men and women for others. The same order, we also look into the social sector, specifically the marginalized ones. And I am more interested towards, enhancing the life that is being, given to us. That's what I believe. uh, that is possible only when you try to do something for the other. That is what has been happening in Bijapur, and whoever are been watching this particular webinar, you should visit Bijapur. Bijapur has got bundle of opportunities, specifically lovely people who are really in need of something. I think we can transform their lives. So that is what I would just want to talk about. We have been working with the Devadasi women. We've been working with the commercial sex workers. We work with the children who are affected with HIV/AIDS. We run a program for them. We have students who want to study, but they are underprivileged. They've got difficulties. So support systems that are being created. More than ever, what we do is largely like Center for Non-Formal Education, with which I've been working, is a rights-based institute. Like we work for the rights of human rights, for their living as well as for the life as such. So this is all about, from Bijapur.
Great. Aparna, would you like to add something?
So, first off, if I could have been doing anything in the spiritual space, I would have loved to be a Jesuit priest. I remember thinking, out of all the orders and all the work that I've seen, and as you would know, XLRI has also been founded by Jesuits with this vision to really bring, something good for society, and to just, have that greater good so deeply ingrained in us has been life changing for me. And that then brought me to Father Teyol and his band of merry and wonderful, wonderful change makers, and, this intersection of the work that they do doesn't really come into our corporate space, right? And I just wish those boundaries would, dissolve, because there's so much magic we can work together. Just to give you an example, he said, come to Bijapur. I remember I went to Raichur and I had gone to Mundgod, the places where they have Jesuit centers, very different from the posh colleges that we see, not like the Aloysiuses of the world. And I remember one student saying, ma'am, you're such an inspiration. And I felt like such a celebrity because the kids had all milked me. And I said, why? Because they didn't know me, right? So I said, why? And they said, because you work in Bangalore and you've got a car. And then, you must be making a lot of money. So I said, how much do you think is my salary? And they said, you must be making 8,000 rupees a month, 10,000. That for them was big money, right? I mean, because they come from income groups where the family income of a family of 5 or 8 is 5,000 bucks, 4,000,
Yeah,
3,000, sometimes lesser. So
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
to me was, such a leveler, right? I mean, suddenly you realize, oh my God, you come from so much privilege and there's so much to do. Because, we would have been making 10, 20 fold that much, what their guess was. So, and such innocence and such curiosity. So
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to add, I mean, we all need to work together. That would be magical.
Yes. Let me come to Father Teyol. Of course, I mentioned the incident on Aparna's behalf, which was very powerful. So we're talking about the opening the inner eye, right? It's not like a ceremony or an inauguration. It's because some triggers happen which open us to ourselves. So what are some of those incidents which triggered you to kind of choose this, ascetic life?
No, I mean, it is not ascetic life as such. I mean, it is a life with a difference. Uh, when it comes to the Jesuits, something like this is an organization or an order that was started something around 500 years ago by Ignatius of Loyola. Saint Ignatius was a very big visionary. At his time, people were like, especially there was a lot of issues that the society had, the church had. So he wanted to revamp the whole sort of system as such. And because of that, he wanted, a group of people who can bring about a transformation, change, and all this thing. He found that education was something that would bring about a change, transformation. And so, therefore, he started, educating the clergy, that is the priests and his group men. I feel that is what has brought about a change. After 500 years, the transformation that has taken place across the world at various sectors is something because of the vision that Saint Ignatius had, and we try to work on that particular vision today. One of the
Yeah, but
things, like I personally feel that uh, working uh, with this particular Ignatius never wanted a group that would be like the monastics. I mean, with the monastery they would sit, they will pray, they will cultivate something, do something for the community, and then they come back in the evening, sit and do the things. So he wanted his men, his people to be with the people. So therefore the Jesuits, early Jesuits, during the daytime, they were teaching in the colleges, trying to, like, evolve things and all of things. In the evenings, they would come back, get into the hospitals, serve the poor, serve the sick, and try to do the things. And I think that experience has remained with us till today.
yeah, but is there any particular personal trigger?
Like one of the personal things, like I was in Bijapur, like I was sharing something with Aparna as well as with you also. Uh, we started work with the HIV infected in 2006. Nobody, I mean, stigma and discrimination was on high at that particular moment. Nobody wanted to give us the space and try to do something. And there was, I mean, I knew how the HIV would, spread. There are, you know, everything was there, lined up. And one particular woman who comes to me and I mean, we were trying to help her family out. Her husband was very sick. We were trying to treat him and all of this stuff. And she tries to share her food with us. There were moments like, no, I didn't know what to do. Whether to take that food, whatever that she had with her, to consume it, because there were multiple things that were happening in me. I do not know whether the woman is alive today or not. But then she gave me a life lesson. Uh, when I took that bite, the food, whatever that she offered it to me, the fear that I had with regard to HIV, that simply vanished.
Wow.
Rest of the things, I mean, after that, whatever things happened, specifically with regard to the HIV infected, is something, a different story altogether. But today, I'm really grateful for that particular experience from a uneducated HIV infected a person living with HIV, who knew that her husband had made a mistake. Because of him, the whole family that was suffering. And in spite of all those things, she wanted to take care of him because nobody else was there to take care of him. So I feel that is those are the moments that have come across in our lives, that have strengthened that has strengthened my spirituality, that has strengthened my human life as well. Today I am able to open up myself to reach out somebody who is really in need. There are so many people who have been coming together to do this, and Aparna is one of them. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me go to Aparna and ask her whether, even, okay, you made your choices. And of course, you're kind of balancing the commercial, professional life with having to make changes. So, have there been any experiences where you had to confront your inner fear and look inside, like not through the two eyes, but maybe through the third eye? So, have there been stages where you have had to do that specifically?
Yeah. So, one that the inner eye itself was a bit more open than for most people. Was maybe because of a lot of role modeling in my childhood. I had friends who were, the doctor's children, but, our maids' children also used to play with us. And I had this thing like, they come to my birthday party. I want to go for their birthday party, right? So, and I would go and they'd be a little bit apologetic and I'd enjoy it and I love the food and all of that. So hanging with them just got me to see people, differently. And then as I grew, right, this was an easy thing for me to do. But I must say, after I did my MBA specifically, it became difficult. So there is, suddenly you're part of a tribe which sadly doesn't see this part of reality. And I remember in 1999, there was a huge flood in Orissa. And we were in XLRI, we were getting ready for our holidays. And at that time, what happened was a big bunch of us said, okay, we'll put together stuff. And many people said that they'll want to volunteer if we go there, and a few of us said, okay, what will it take to go there? And we knew some Jesuit priests from Bhubaneswar were going to do some relief work there. So we kind of orchestrated that we will join them. But suddenly nobody wanted to be part of that group. And we were, I think, 3 women and 1 guy who said they'll go. And I didn't think too much about, security, this, that, and the other, because, for me, it was like, we said we'll do it and we signed up for it. And now the opportunity has come, so we'll have to do it. And I remember a classmate of us, Kaizad, he just looked at the ratio and he said, okay, I'm also going to come for protection. So there were 5 of us. And we were in this completely uncharted territory in completely unknown circumstances. And, again, there, I remember seeing Oxfam and all these international associations and bodies that do relief work with really super posh tents with generators and things like that. They really land with the best equipment, right? And we were doing some relief work where we had to kind of dispense medication because there could have been a spread of a pandemic and disease. And we were given hazmat suits in those days, like, I mean, and we looked like aliens. So the villagers were running away from us. As it is, they were so sad. They had lost their livestock. In some of the villages, every person had lost at least one family member, right? It was that kind of devastation. And somehow it just came naturally saying, let's just remove these suits, because if the medication works, it should have worked on us. We were medicated, right? So we just removed it, and then we connected with people, and we held them, and then we hugged them, and then we cried with them. And then the transformation started happening. And yes, it's difficult because, you'll have all your rational buddies who'll actually be that voice of caution and things like that. But at some point, you have to take the leap of faith. If you're selling an idea, then it better be working on you first. And then you just say, okay, the rest is on God or whatever you believe in, right? And then I always used to think that, if everything goes south, at least you'll leave Earth in a blaze of glory. You'll be like that urban legend who did something crazy, which didn't seem like a bad idea to me either, right? So, yes, but it is tough. It is tough to, sometimes I feel like I want to give all my money. I remember post the pandemic, I wanted to liquidate like all the, fixed assets and savings and things like that I had, and give it all, and then to hold it back. So in a sense, I do even envy folks like Father Teyol who have chosen that path, but they're in a tribe where it is expected to do this. Whereas for us, it is more and more difficult, right? You get used to a certain lifestyle, you get used to certain comforts. So it becomes incredibly challenging.
Right. So I wanted to come to another topic, which is, we talk of goodness. So how do you define goodness? And when I'm looking at you and Father Teyol, I feel that I'm very selfish. So what is this selflessness, and how do we cultivate it in others? Because the social impact should geometrically expand, right? So why are we having this session? So that we talk to people who inspire us, and what is a small thing that one can do? How would you define goodness? Father Teyol?
For me, goodness is something that everyone has got in their own ways. Like every individual is good in their own ways. Uh, when it comes to pandemic, when it comes to a flood situation, when there are some calamities that happen, people simply reach out to the other.
Yeah.
They don't see their religion, no religious beliefs that come in between, no caste discriminations that are there. There is no rich and poor. Like no, we have seen like if you might have seen the floods that happened in Kerala. Those multi-story buildings had water, and people, the poor fisher folk, they went around, helped those people, and came out. This is goodness in there. There are some people who do some good aspects. I mean, they desire to do good, but there are no proper opportunities. So therefore, that goodness has been held within themselves.
Yeah.
There are some people, who might have done some good work, whatever help that they have rendered to someone might have not gone on right way.
Yeah.
And so therefore, they too are holding on that particular, because their first experience of doing some good to somebody else has not gone right. So, so people are in a very fixed situation. But for me, goodness is something. Thinking about somebody in the sense where like we don't anybody to be hungry. They go hungry all through their days. So therefore we ensure that whatever thing that is with there, we try to share it with someone else. We don't want somebody to be helpless in certain situations where nobody is there. I'll give you a small example. Like in Bangalore, we have got something called a program called MEAN, Migrant Assistant Information Network. One of the difficulties these people are been facing is when these migrants, some of them pass away, or some some death that takes place, accidents that take place. The bodies are there in the hospital, and the volunteers, they just go, they try to wrap up the whole sort of a thing, try to connect with the government machinery of that particular migrant, and then try to send that particular body to somebody, leaving all their works behind. They are not supposed to do, but then they go like a step further, or walk an extra mile. That is something good as well. I've seen during the COVID times, Aparna, if you remember Umar, who was part of Mercy Angels. Those are
Yeah.
the guys. They just went around, helping people to bury the dead according to their own, people's religious beliefs. They cremated the Hindus, buried the Muslims, helped out Christians with the burial services and all of that. And all these things without counting cost, without trying to have some sort of return in something. So that is good as well. I mean, I'm very
right. So actually, this the thought came to me, and I want to bring a coaching angle to it. Goodness is what they want, not what we think we can give. So during those same all these floods, etc., people were giving food and whatever extra they had without one thinking about what the other person needs. So, it's the coachee or the person to whom you're giving, they need to, you need to ask them. So without asking, just out of goodness, you give away money. I remember we were giving charity, and then we found that that was a charity where only 10% of the money was going to the people who are, it's aimed at. So I think that matters, and I want Aparna, she's also a PCC, to bring a coaching angle to this definition, and how can we as a coach handle this? Of course, Father Teyol also has done so much of counseling and all and knows about it, but I want you to reflect on it from coaching angle.
So it's remarkable that you connected the dots, I'll just take the concept of unconditional positive regard, right? That's so fundamental to coaching. You need to have that to be a good coach. And that's so connected to what Father Teyol said, that everybody has that goodness in them. So with every flood, there's a tidal wave of generosity that comes. With every fire, there's raging generosity and kindness that comes, right? So that needs to be evoked, and people have that capacity for good. Everybody has that capacity for good. So that's point number one. Point number two, absolutely well said. Look at the beneficiary and what they want. So I remember this one incident during COVID, and I used to call it the Chitrana syndrome. Everybody was busily making chitrana, which is, for people who don't know here, lemon rice. And it seemed like a good thing to make and distribute because it's easy. It's a one-pot meal. Lime kind of preserves, the rice, so it won't spoil. And, there were so many migrant folks who, at that moment when they were starving, they had 1, 2, 3 meals of it. But no one in this group, and I challenge you, can eat the same thing day in and day out, even if you're starving. The Indian palate is so rich and it needs what it needs. Wheat eating, a roti eating person needs that, craves that. A rice eating person needs that, craves that, right? So we actually made sure that we were hyper local, and when you talk about Umar and Azmat and their work, was so localized, and we were so inspired by them to, meet the absolute requirement of people, right? And see who's that beneficiary, what is it that they need most, and how can they also pitch in, because they're all givers, right? They're not just takers, they're not just receivers. A lot of them have that capacity to give. So I remember when we had this unending list of people who needed stuff, we put a call center together to call them and ask them how acute was their need. So many of them said, listen, we don't actually need. I thought you were distributing it for free. That's why we wanted. Can I donate to you? So they did the reverse. And that was so interesting, isn't it? And the last concept, which I'd like to tie to coaching, and this was personally beneficial to me. It's also kind of tied to Kocharya because, we used to have these practice sessions. And one of my practice coaches, when I was doing my PCC certification, helped me understand this about myself. Is, somewhere in my head, there was this equation of goodness. And the person helped me articulate it. So, I'm dressed like a kook, right? In kook, there is this frame called Ichike Madi. This is enough. So usually they use this term for others, bonda bonda ichike madi. That means don't give too much. That person has this much, if you're doing charity, this much is enough. If you're doing, something for anyone, this much is enough. So I said we should flip that and say, for me, this is enough. Ichike madi. I don't need more. I don't need one more house. I don't need, more gold, more XYZ. Whereas I can flip it around and say the opposite, which is Jasti Bondu, which is I need lots for others. Others need more. So if you're giving more, then you're taking from the world. For me, that is an idea of goodness. And it was through coaching, I was able to explore that for myself. So I would go very often skipping meals, and I had something with eating, which was an issue. And this practice coach, and I can't even remember his name. He was from a different country altogether, a different culture. But he said, with your permission, can I share that observation? So the coach language. And he said, I think you're very bothered with poverty and the lack of food and things like that. And that's why you want to do this. And then that helped me put in some habits where I minimized my consumption even further, right? I got the understanding of why I was doing this. And that has really, really helped me. So coaching actually is very, very transformational in this space.
Yeah. So from what you and Father Teyol said, we do get very, very empowered to contribute, be good at that trigger. But the effect of that trigger is very long. And I have a very close cousin of mine who runs a center, which is very big. He himself is disabled and he runs this disabled center. And he said, and we contribute to them whatever we can regularly. And he said, Gayatri, when the trigger is there, everybody is ready. When it is not there, they are distributing or donating to the latest trigger. Okay. So there was a flood in Orissa, I gave that. Then there is this flood in near, in Cuddalore. So then I want to give that. So how do you keep your mind focused?
Yeah.
What would help us make an impact with whatever we are doing? So a lot of us, I think, or most of us here have a little more than what we need and are willing to give. But how to make sure that makes an impact and keep that in our mind always, not just when there's a trigger.
Yeah. So if I can share something here, I remember like as I kept doing stuff, I was finding myself getting quite depleted. And then, I was doing a lot of work around even looking at the SDGs, and it was so disillusioning because, no matter what you do, you don't seem to be making a dent. And then luckily for us, the UN launched something called IDGs, Individual Development Goals, which just talks about what you can do, right? Don't solve for the big things. And Harish Devarajan, again, a veteran of, this circuit, said that, if everybody does little bits, right, you'll solve for everything, I mean, there's an infinite amount of good that gets generated. So this is one aspect of it. But a second one, which has really helped me is, again, using a coaching conversation to figure out, where I want to impact and what I want to impact and put some, rules around it, So, for example, when I was a kid, I wanted 99 children. So the opportunity that I got, to partner with Diya Ghar and, impact, 2000 plus children, that became very attractive to me. So then I said, let me not spread myself very thin and let me do at least a lot of my pro bono intellectual work. The money you can kind of distribute across.
Yes.
But the energy, the mental energy, and who will I ask for funds? I said, I will ask for funds for Diya Ghar because that is what I'm passionate about. That is what I give my money to, and therefore I can really ambassador it. So if you can find your calling in the space, then you'll have boundless energy, is what my guess is.
Yeah, I just want to ask people in case they have any comments or any questions, please put it in the chat. because right now we're not opening up for any voice questions. So, Father Teyol, how can I know you day in and day out you get up and do this, but day in and day out I get up, I fight with my maid, I fight with my husband, I write once, we're involved in so many things. So, what would be your advice to, people like us who are kind of straddling our own domain and trying to make an impact?
See, one of the things that I personally feel is, the sensitivity that we need to, grow within our own selves, uh, just to perceive the need of the other. Sensitivity is something that simply doesn't come in. Say, for example, I'm in uh, a buffet where I go for a meal. So many things that have been kept placed right in front of me. I take a plate and I just, put the best stuff that is required for me, and then I don't even think about somebody else is there right behind me. I think sensitivity has to be inculcated. I mean, to grown into our own lives. Might be a maid who comes to our house. How sensitive that we are. A driver who drives us very carefully, safely to the destination. A watchman who is always there to open the gates when we come. But if we, uh, are not sensitive enough to the needs of these people, somebody, I mean, a person might be having a difficulty, but then he is not able to come and share because he feels so low to come right in front of you and say that, see, I have got this particular need. To give you a very small example, I mean, today, this afternoon, I get a phone call. We work with the Devdasi women. We try to empower their children. So one of the girls that we have put into one of our colleges, she comes under one of our programs where 70% of her whole expense, annual expense that we try to bear, 30% that she has to adjust. She feels this one so, I mean, she is not able to pay that 30%, but she feels so bad to seek a help, because already she feels that 70% that fathers have organized, and again I just go and ask more. I think one of the uh, difficulties that many of the people who are in need of some sort of a help are not able to ask for. I think sensitivity is something that the individual needs to perceive in the life of their own as well as into the life of the others. I think that makes a lot of difference in the life. So that once you tend to try to do something, then automatically you'll find, okay, today I have understood this particular person. Tomorrow, with the same sort of a thing, I'll be able to understand somebody else. I think that would be something would be helping us. I think that has helped us. I think for Aparna also. I've seen Aparna. When I met her for the first time, she was, writing down how many bags of dal that had come to St. Joseph's College during the COVID, the relief that was that we were doing. And she and her husband Vishal, both of them were like doing all the manual work that was like everybody that was doing. But one thing that I saw was both of them were not having their lunch. They were skipping their meal, the noon meal or the night meal or something like that. But then someone else told me, that is the sacrifice that they were also making. Somebody else was hungry, and here somebody has perceived the, they were sensitive enough to this one. Okay, that particular person is getting one meal a day. Let me also feel try to do something. I think this is what transforms the lives of people. When we try to look beyond, that is what the inner eye for me, looking beyond the whatever things that is.
Yeah, and there are two questions, one which has been answered partially by Aparna, which was on, are there any platforms for pro bono coaching? So Kocharia Foundation is working very hard to, do it. And in Pune, we already are doing a lot of pro bono coaching. So there are platforms for pro bono coaching within the chapters and within many of the organizations. So we can, connect with Yamini, who will put you onto Neeta Shirali, who is in charge of the Kocharia Foundation. And I will ask Aparna to take that, read out and take the question from Divya, which is a very important question for sure.
Yeah. So Divya's asked is a beautiful question, actually. How do you get involved without getting too involved? Empathetic burnout, for example, is a real challenge for some of us. I would not say it's a real challenge. It's a stark reality when you get into this space. It's impossible to be unaffected. And I remember there was one time I was driving to the COVID center, and I just stopped the car and I was crying because, it looked like a mountain of work and I didn't know how to get there. But at the same time, when you feel that passion, the kind of elation you feel is something extraordinary. I remember, we had depleted funds, and we had, a 10 lakh order that we needed to give out, and we didn't have any money in the coffers. And at that time, an Azim Premji Foundation fund came through. And I remember in the COVID center with all the safe distancing, we used to play music. So we danced. And it was so joyful, So if you want to feel that kind of joy, you should be able to bear that kind of sadness and tragedy, I mean, that is something that really helps with the sensitivity. Father Teyol saw the magic between, say, Vishal and me. He didn't see the wars that we had. And one of his colleagues, Father Guntipalli, he all of them are trained counselors and coaches, by the way. Jesuits have to, as part of their training, study this. He jumped in, to kind of really mediate and get us to, see eye to eye. And, he had a one-on-one coaching session with me where he asked me all these soul-searching questions like, do you love your husband? And then how are you showing it? All question by question, right? And then suddenly, that space transformed. So, if you're unaffected in doing this, for me, I don't know how that would work. But the benefit to be affected is the satisfaction, the peace, the love that you feel,
True. But I also think this is something which a lot of caregivers go through, even when they're not in the social sector.
Yes.
You get empathetic, you get over empathetic, you burn out. I think the situations may be different, but the feelings are the same, and self-care is important. Absolutely. And allyship, reaching out to make sure that you're not, if three of us are burnt out and we talk to each other, I think we feel a little less burnt out, saying I'm not the only one here. Yeah. So I think that is very important. But yes, it is absolutely a byproduct of getting too involved, because it seems hopeless, right? I'm doing all I can, but not, the change is not visible. So yeah. I want to talk about now about this collective vision, So you are doing this personally, Father Teyol is doing this personally. If there are examples of how you have motivated others, or what can we do to make sure that it becomes a collective impact and it stays in our mind space, fact that, okay. So, Dalai Lama, I have a saying put in my wall saying that, we can't take what we accumulate. Everyone is going to die for some time, at some time. So of course we need enough, and we need a little more because we may lose our job. There may be some other things. But what is the limit? And how do we make this stay in our mind space for all the time? And how do we influence others also to take this through? So I'll end with this question and then take it over to Yamini. Father Teyol.
This particular conversation was between Mother Teresa and one of the journalists. One of the journalists seems to have seen Mother Teresa, feeding the hungry, those destitute children, those who were there with her and all of the things. And then he seems to have asked her, Mother, how long are you going to feed people? And, uh, are you going to do it? How are you going to do it for so many hungry, so many, people who are sick? And how are you going to do it? Mother Teresa seems to have said, we will do it one by one. We will do it one by one. So I think, reaching out to somebody is a collective sort of a work. There is someone who has, who is really in need. There is someone who perceives that particular need, but then he doesn't have enough resources to, address that particular need. So therefore, he finds out someone who has got resources, but then the person may not be knowing that there is somebody who is really in need. So I always consider it as a triangle. So all the three parties should come together, and then try to reach out to somebody. So I have got enough money, but if I do not have a grassroots connect, saying that there is somebody
Mm.
who is having some sort of a need, then having so much of money doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
There is somebody like with a person with a good heart trying to do something, but doesn't have money, but knows grassroots. That also doesn't work. There is somebody who is really in need, doesn't know a person who has got enough resources or who can try to help out. That doesn't. So therefore, this triangle has to be fixed very properly. That's what I feel. And it is a collective work in the
Yeah.
sense, not that everybody can come together and work together. I think it takes a lot of courage to
Yes.
keep all your you know uh, uh, limitations just behind. Keep all your, like, I mean, we have seen so many people who are trying to do something during the time of COVID. People never asked which caste you belong to, which religion you are
No.
following, or what are the food habits that you have got at home. People just said, I'm ready. So many volunteers, the youth who came in, the people who came to pack, people who sent some food. Those who received, they did not say like, no, I'm coming from this particular caste, this one combination, and I'm eating only this food, and so therefore I need only this food. No, people just said, no, this is.
It,
During the time of relief, we also try to have some sort of experiments also. I don't know whether Aparna remembers this one. We, went to one of the uh, spaces where a lot of maids, housemaids, they were staying, auto drivers, they were staying. What we did was we placed all the material uh, in line. Like there was oil packets that were kept, the dal was kept, the rice that was kept, vegetables that were kept, different type of things. And we told people, whatever that you are in need of, kindly collect it. And prior to that, wherever we had gone, so many people would gather. There has to be, like, people would come and collect the things. Even some would try to amass the thing and try to keep it and all. Here, people said, okay, this is what I require. This is I don't. This I want to take to because somebody who has not come to this particular place today, I want to take it for her also. These are the things. Amidst all your needs, you are also able to see somebody is, you know, still more needy than you. You try to do it, reach out amidst all those situations. That is what, has strengthened all of us. That's what I feel. Uh, you know, uh, something that transforms. I mean, the situations, the people that are around are the ones who are the greatest teachers in those situations.
Yeah. So I just, sorry to, I just wanted to just formally just close it, and then if there are no questions, we can carry on for a few more minutes. So, what comes to me is this practice of inner eye opening is not for grand moments. It's not like you're hit by a truck and then you'll open your inner eyes. It's about recognizing opportunities for courage in daily life, talking to people, helping them, helping yourself also. It takes courage to ask for help, and it's those moments which matter. And for people who have that courage, every hurdle becomes an opportunity. It's not like it's pushing you back, it's making you think. So, any questions? Because, sometimes, like last time also, we didn't have questions and we were not sure whether you're engaged, not engaged. Please post your questions, comments in the chat, and I'll let Aparna close with her closing remarks.
Sure. So I'll come in on this collectivism. It's absolutely essential. And, to just add to the quote that you said about, what the Dalai Lama said, into your next life, you can't take all the money that you must. You can't even take your intellectual capability, isn't it?
Right.
So, I mean, most people either have a lot of ego on the money that they have, or the experience, the intellect, or a combination of two. And, the interesting bit is that I'm sure Father Teyol will resonate with this. I don't think we choose to be courageous, so that is not our aim, right? I mean, it's just a byproduct of what we do. And very often our work is in the domain of, competency building. I think most people are just unconsciously incompetent about doing good. We have good in us, but what to do, how to manifest it? And there, if you can put your ego down to ask, not only for self, I'm doing something, so help me, but to ask and say, hey, listen, you have someone so much. Are you doing something about it? Are you doing good? That requires, courage, and I know that I let that go. I know when I train my fundraisers and things like that, I say, you're not asking for yourself. And even if you do ask for yourself, there's nothing wrong in it. But you're asking for somebody else. And that's the greatest gift that you can give to humanity, because it's buy one, get three free, right? You're benefiting the donor, you're benefiting the beneficiary, and you're benefiting yourself with the good karma, right? So if you can be fearless in, pulling that equation, right? Whether it is through a coaching conversation, whether it is through, material benefits, whatever it is, right? And that is what makes it interesting, right? So
Yes.
I thought that is been my mantra, and you have to do it with people. You have to not only just decide to do a collaboration, one of those things we say, Mahagatbandhan. Okay, let's three of us collaborate. But we know even for this conversation, we've had so many conversations before this. We've had you sending us so many drafts. We've been prepping each other. We've been having those conversations, right? So making these collaboratives work, and also giving your time and attention to that, the managerial stuff, the administrative stuff of getting people together, galvanizing energy, right? And don't be afraid. The first time you call, and you'll see that there's no follower. That's when you kind of get your children and your husband to kind of come along, right? And then suddenly you'll see that, there are people who are doing such a good job that now you are following them. They're not following
Yeah.
you, right?
Actually, our beautiful Bengaluru happened exactly like that.
Exactly
From sea, it became fashionable to go there,
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm nowhere in the picture, I kind of come in sometimes, but there is a whole bunch of people who are leading it. And at the helm of it, there is Odette, right? And that's the beauty of it, right? I mean, this is the way the collaboratives work. And you can't even take this, right? Your reputation, your legacy to the next world. None of this really matters. So if you can just give with that generosity, another nice tip I had, and I loved doing it, is give a lot of other people lots of credit. If they want to say that they did everything, So be it. Big deal. That's important for them. Be generous in giving them that. Who's keeping this account anyway? Does it matter? So give people what matters to them to get them to, do their best is something that works. Yeah.
Yeah. If it belongs to you, like they say, the bird which is released will come back to you if it belongs to you. So you're not going to lose.
It is something like give so that you can give more.
Yes.
That is something that someone asked, like, how it is possible when you give, everything is over. No. You get it return so that you can give more. So that is what is necessary and needed.
So basically there's a tipping point even in generosity. Yeah. So thanks a lot. I will hand over to Yamini to close the session, and keep your comments in the chats coming, because we'd really love to hear from the participants. Yamini?
Yeah. Thank you, Gayatri. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, Father Teyol. I think with everything that is going on in the world, it's really so fulfilling to know that people out there like you are doing such great stuff and are also, inspiring others to do more with less, with whatever we have. So, and it was an absolutely inspiring session. Thank you so much for coming here today and sharing everything you shared here. Thank you everybody for joining us for this webinar. We will be back with more webinars in the coming weeks, as you know, and watch out for Ram's session, the ICF Mumbai session. I am pasting the link in the chat box. Anybody who wants to attend this session, please do register for this session and join Ram for it. And all our programs, all the ICF level programs and all the webinars that we have coming up are on our website on the events calendar page. Anybody who would like to check out any program, if you do have any questions, please reach out to our team at support@kocharya.com. If you have any feedback for this webinar or our webinars in general, please do write to us. You can also directly write to me at yamini@kocharya.com. We always are on the lookout for feedback, any suggestions you have, so please do let us know. With that, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
And I have put the email IDs of both Aparna and Father Teyol in the chat. And Yamini, just include them when you do the
blog. Yes.
Please put it, because and they don't have their own organization which they are highlighting. Father Teyol is part of the Bijapur Jesuit Society. They have a website. I'll send that to you. But thank you. So I think I'm at least inspired to go and see what little I can do for someone else. So thank you very much.
Sure. There's a question here by Ruchi Bhatia. She wants to know how she can contribute to Kocharya Foundation.
So, why don't you put Nita's email ID?
Absolutely, I can do that.
Yeah. So Nita Shirali is the coordinator for Kocharya Foundation, and you can contact her, or you can contact any one of us, Yamini and all also. But you can write to Kocharya Foundation. In fact, we're just kind of finalizing a way to really expand this pro bono coaching for, non-profit sector. So, so Nita@kocharya.com. I'll warn her that she may get a lot of emails, but that would be nice. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Yamini, Gayatri. Thank you very much for connecting, for giving us this opportunity to be here, talking to you, and then meeting so many people. Thank you very much. Carry on this good work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for creating this space, this kind of a conversation, and it's got me inspired to do more.
Good luck finding time.
But one of the offers is that any of our communities, whether in Bijapur or Bangalore or now Chennai, if people want to work with our communities and explore how they can coaching alive, with people who come from a very, very different background, please feel free to connect them, right?
True.
We
Yes,
have
yes,
systems
We
where they
can
can
just
come up with
connect and we can
information.
see.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
great.
Yeah, we'll be in touch for
Super.
sure.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks, Vitan.
thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, see
And
you.
Thank
good
you.
night.
Bye, Yamini. Bye,
Bye,
Gayatri.
Aparna. Bye, Father Teyol.
Bye,
Thank you,
bye.
guys.
And thank you to all the participants for, being there and engaging with us. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Have a lovely, lovely rest of the day.
Yeah.
Bye.